Celsius Network was one of the most popular and successful crypto lending platforms in the world. It had over 1.7 million users and $25 billion in assets under management as of June 2022. It offered high interest rates on deposits of various cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins. It also allowed users to borrow fiat or crypto against their crypto collateral. But everything changed in June 2022, when Celsius suddenly froze all withdrawals and transfers for its customers, citing technical issues and security breaches. Customers were unable to access their funds or move them to other platforms. Many of them panicked and feared that their money was gone forever. A month later, in July 2022, Celsius Network filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in New York, admitting that it was insolvent and unable to repay its creditors. It also revealed that it had lost or mismanaged a significant portion of its customers' crypto assets, due to risky investments, hacking attacks, and fraud. The bankruptcy filing triggered a wave of lawsuits and investigations from customers, regulators, and law enforcement agencies. Customers accused Celsius of misleading them about the risks and terms of its services, violating securities laws, and operating a Ponzi scheme. Regulators questioned Celsius's compliance with licensing and consumer protection rules. Law enforcement agencies probed Celsius's involvement in money laundering and tax evasion. The bankruptcy court appointed a trustee to oversee the liquidation of Celsius's assets and the distribution of proceeds to creditors. However, the process was complicated by several factors: the volatility and complexity of crypto markets, the uncertainty and diversity of crypto laws across jurisdictions, and the disputes and claims among different classes of creditors. One of the main issues that the court had to decide was who owned the crypto deposits that customers had made into Celsius's platform. Celsius argued that it had taken ownership of most of the deposits when customers agreed to its terms of service, which allowed Celsius to use the deposits for its own purposes. This meant that most customers were unsecured creditors who had to wait until higher priority debts were paid off. However, some customers and state regulators challenged this argument, saying that customers did not understand or consent to Celsius's terms of service, and that Celsius had violated various regulations that invalidated its contracts. They claimed that customers still owned their crypto deposits and had a right to get them back before anyone else. In January 2023, the court ruled in favor of Celsius, finding that most customers had transferred ownership of their crypto deposits to Celsius when they signed up for its interest-bearing accounts. The court said that this was clear from Celsius's terms of service, which customers had to accept before using its platform. The court also said that this ruling did not prevent customers from pursuing other claims against Celsius for fraud or breach of contract. The court's ruling meant that most customers would receive only a fraction of their original deposits, if anything at all. According to the court documents, Celsius had only about $2 billion worth of crypto assets left as of December 2022, which was far less than what it owed to its creditors. The court also authorized Celsius to sell some of its remaining crypto assets to raise cash for the bankruptcy proceedings. The court also approved a settlement agreement between Celsius and some of its creditors in March 2023. The settlement offered a partial recovery for some customers who held non-interest-bearing accounts or who opted into the settlement by a certain deadline. The settlement also provided some incentives for creditors to cooperate with the liquidation process and avoid further litigation. The bankruptcy case is still ongoing as of May 2023, with many unresolved issues and challenges ahead. The trustee is still trying to sell Celsius's assets and distribute the proceeds to creditors according to their priority and claims. The customers are still waiting for their final recoveries and hoping for some justice. The regulators are still investigating Celsius's conduct and seeking penalties or sanctions. The law enforcement agencies are still looking for evidence of criminal activity or wrongdoing. Celsius Network's bankruptcy is a cautionary tale for the crypto industry and its users. It shows how a seemingly successful and innovative platform can collapse under the weight of its own ambition and greed. It also shows how risky and uncertain crypto lending can be, especially when there is a lack of transparency, regulation, and accountability. Celsius Network was one of the most successful crypto lending platforms in the world, with more than 1.7 million registered users and over $4 billion in assets under management. But behind the scenes, the company was struggling to keep up with its promises of high interest rates and low fees. In July 2022, Celsius filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, revealing that it had a $1.2 billion hole in its balance sheet, with $5.5 billion in liabilities and only $4.3 billion in assets, much of which was illiquid. How did this happen? According to the bankruptcy filings, Celsius had been using a risky business model that involved borrowing and lending cryptocurrencies at different rates and durations, hoping to profit from the spread. But when the crypto market crashed in May 2022, Celsius faced a liquidity crisis as many of its borrowers defaulted or withdrew their funds, while its lenders demanded higher returns or redemption of their deposits. To make matters worse, Celsius had also been accused of operating a Ponzi scheme by paying early depositors with the money it got from new users, rather than generating income from its lending activities. Several state regulators had launched investigations into Celsius for violating securities laws and consumer protection rules, alleging that the company had misled its customers about the risks and rewards of its products. As a result, Celsius was unable to meet its obligations to its creditors and customers, who collectively claimed more than $4.7 billion from the company. Many of them were ordinary individuals who had invested their life savings into Celsius, hoping to earn passive income from their crypto holdings. Some of them even took out loans or mortgages to fund their deposits, putting themselves in financial distress. In its bankruptcy statement, Celsius said it would look to stabilize its business by restructuring in a way that maximizes value for all stakeholders. The company said it had $167 million in cash on hand to support its operations in the meantime. However, the fate of Celsius and its customers remains uncertain, as the bankruptcy process could take months or years to resolve. In the meantime, Celsius's story serves as a cautionary tale for anyone who wants to invest in crypto lending platforms without fully understanding the risks involved. One of the most shocking revelations in the Celsius bankruptcy saga was the alleged withdrawal of $10 million by the CEO of Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, just days before the company filed for Chapter 11 protection. According to a report by CNBC, Mashinsky transferred $10 million worth of cryptocurrency from Celsius to his personal wallet on July 9, 2022, 4 days before Celsius informed state regulators that it was filing for bankruptcy imminently. The transfer was discovered by a forensic accountant hired by a group of creditors who are owed more than $4.7 billion by Celsius. Mashinsky has not publicly commented on the transfer or explained why he took out such a large amount of money from the company at a critical time. Some creditors have accused him of fraud and breach of fiduciary duty, and have asked the bankruptcy court to freeze his assets and appoint a trustee to oversee Celsius. Mashinsky's lawyer has denied any wrongdoing and said that Mashinsky was acting in good faith and in the best interests of Celsius and its customers. The withdrawal of $10 million by Mashinsky raises serious questions about his role and responsibility in the downfall of Celsius, which was once a leading crypto lending platform with over 600,000 customers and $4.2 billion in assets. Celsius claimed to offer high interest rates on crypto deposits by lending them out to institutional borrowers and sharing the profits with its customers. However, the company faced regulatory scrutiny and lawsuits from several states that accused it of violating securities laws and operating an unlicensed money transmitter business. Celsius also suffered heavy losses from the crypto market crash in May 2022, which wiped out more than half of its assets and left it unable to repay its customers. Celsius filed for bankruptcy on July 13, 2022, saying that it would look to stabilize its business by restructuring in a way that maximizes value for all stakeholders. The company said it had $167 million in cash on hand to support its operations in the meantime. However, many customers have expressed frustration and anger over the lack of communication and transparency from Celsius, and have feared that they may never get their money back. Some customers have also reported phishing attempts and hacking incidents that targeted their accounts. The bankruptcy case of Celsius is still ongoing and has many complex and unresolved issues. The court has to decide who owns the crypto deposits that customers made into Celsius interest-bearing accounts, whether Celsius violated any laws or contracts, and how much creditors can recover from the company's assets. The case also has implications for the crypto industry as a whole, as it exposes the risks and challenges of crypto lending and regulation. As one of the largest and most prominent crypto lenders, Celsius bankruptcy is a cautionary tale for investors and entrepreneurs alike.